And welcome to another edition of Game Day Wrap-Up, along with Mike St. Green. I'm Cameron Irvine. Saturday, Week 5 is in the books, and it gave us a ton of storylines to talk about. But today, we start in our nation's capital. D.C. loses another nail-biter, 16-14. They were up 14-3. Could not shut the door. They're 0-5, the third straight loss by one score. St. Louis moves to 5-0. Best start in franchise history. The most victories they've ever had in a season is 6. Mike, this is a tale of two teams winning in the clutch moments through the first 5 weeks of the season.
Yeah, Cam, this game had upset written all over it for a vast majority of this game. Even though St. Louis held DC scoreless in the second half, but they were themselves struggling to, get in the end zone. 3 Amy Shalizzi field goals kind of kept them in it, and a big interception from Zach Holdorf late in that game enabled them to score the touchdown to go ahead and take the lead and win the game.
Yeah, this is a case, isn't it, of just a team that hasn't taken their lumps yet. They don't know how to win yet as a team. Meanwhile, St. Louis has taken their lumps. They spent a whole season taking their lumps, and they appear to be done with that. And now, granted, it was not their best performance. It wasn't like we came away from this game saying, oh, they can take out Denver, or they can, any of the maybe top 2-3 teams in the league, although they have a strong case that they are one of those at this point. But nonetheless, they get the victory. It's kind of shocking, Mike, to be honest with you. St. Louis is 5-0. Right now, as of this moment, they are the league's #1 team until Denver plays again.
Yeah. Anyone that knows the history of this league are definitely in shock right now by what they're seeing. St. Louis up until this point of the season, they've definitely played solid ball games each and every week. So yeah, from as far as this season goes, no, I'm not surprised. But historically, yeah, definitely surprising to see them 5-0 at the top of the league right now.
Now, probably the most entertaining game of the day. Los Angeles beat Vancouver 32-21, and LA kind of pulled away late, so to speak, but it's kind of surprising that they did, honestly, Mike, because I felt like after LA went up, was it 10-0? 10-0 early, 14-0?
Yeah,
14-0.
Yeah.
It looked like that game was a wrap, that it was over. And Vancouver actually came back and took the lead. They were up 21-20. And it really didn't feel like it was LA's day. Sully Richardson was having a real hard time. They didn't have the run game going. How in the world, Mike, did LA come back and win this game? When they were down 21-20, they scored the last 12. They didn't give up a single point after that.
Yeah, crazy game. Like as you mentioned, LA jumped out early. Sully Richardson had plenty of time in the pocket, finding his receivers. Vancouver couldn't really get anything going, and then all of a sudden the game changes. They come back. Tom Pepper with a touchdown pass, and then he also Robert Redford with an early touchdown early in the second half. But then after that, all LA. And how did they do it? They did it with defense. The defensive line was totally dominant in this game. Andre Krim with a couple of sacks, one for a safety. Moore Rivers with a sack in this game, and also getting really, really good pressure on Tom Pepper throughout this game. And Buddy Blaze had an amazing game with 10 tackles. And, LA basically doing it how they've been doing it all year, totally complete offense. And the defense has been solid all year long, creating turnovers. I believe they're leading the league in turnovers right now. A complete team out there in Los Angeles.
Now, the defensive line was terrific. It really kind of was the difference. Kendra Hall was burning them down the field. I mean, she couldn't be guarded, and Richardson was making mistakes, and the game was kind of turned on its head. And that defensive line woke up, and now it's LA's division. They're 2 games up on Vancouver with the tiebreaker. Of course, they're a game ahead. Then they have the head-to-head tiebreaker. Vancouver will play LA in Week 12. That could be for the Pacific Division title if they can stay within striking distance. But for now, it's Los Angeles' division to lose. And what a start that Tom Rahman and Rochelle Colston have had with that organization. Now to another organization who is, I think, far exceeding expectations, the Fort Worth Toros, who were 5-7 last season. When the divisional alignment came out, the South looked like one of the best divisions with 3 Season 15 playoff teams in it. Lone Star, Mexico City, Houston, and you had Fort Worth. Now Fort Worth leads the division at 4-1, and their defense, along with Denver's, is playing at a historical rate. 5 straight games they have given up less than 20 points. It's pretty incredible to watch that team play. They are as no frills as it gets in the SFL. They got 2 tight ends. They heavy it up, right? They don't really throw a lot of 25-plus yard passes. Williams grinds out yardage. I mean, today, the time of possession was just unbelievably lopsided as well. I mean, it's a no-frills team in Fort Worth.
Yeah, I'll tell you a trend that I think I'm seeing so far early in this season is that, defense is the order of the day. I mean, typically you would see, you would talk about the high-flying offenses and things like that dominating the league, and they're the top of the league. But it seems like right now, hey, if I have a solid defense and my offense is just good enough, I can win ball games this season, and that's what Fort Worth are doing. Solid defense, Captain Hurl with a couple of sacks in this game, tackle for loss. Nacho Sicario with a big interception late. Ben Stone with a big interception late. Solid run game from Thrilliams, 94 carries and a touchdown. Just got enough out of Cam Curtis. I think a touchdown pass to Robert Garrett Jr. And yeah, they're just doing the little things correctly, forcing turnovers, solid defense, and hey, top of the division right now in the South.
I totally agree with you. The top 4 scoring defenses right now have a combined 2 losses. Fort Worth to Queen City, which at this point should now be considered an upset. The Corsairs are just 1-3. But Fort Worth was 10 yards away from winning that game. And then Baltimore, their only losses to Denver. St. Louis and Denver are the other 2 top 4 scoring defenses. And yeah, if you're playing great defense, you're winning football games in the SFL. And another great example of that is Arizona today. Arizona beats Las Vegas because they literally smothered Las Vegas. It didn't matter what Arizona's offense did today. It was all about that defense making it impossible for Vegas to score. But then we've also seen Arizona in losses just play defense that just isn't going to get it done. So I'm with you, Mike. Defense is king right now for victories.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Arizona. I mean, out of all the defenses that we've seen, defensive games that we've seen, dominant performances all year long, I really feel like tonight was probably their most dominant defensive game we've seen all year coming from Arizona tonight.
Totally agree. Now to game balls. What you got, Mike?
Well, I'm going to stay right there in the desert, Cam. I kind of struggled with which one I was going to go with, but and it was impressive from both of these guys. But I think I'm going to stick with Mark Mello. Huge game tonight. 4.5 sacks officially. Fumble recovery. Totally dominant performance on the defensive line. He set the tone early. I'm going to go with Mark Mello with Arizona.
All right, I'll take the other. I'll take Iverson Gamble. This guy's the defensive player of the year right now. Changed my mind. He is tied the season record for defensive touchdowns with 3. He's done it in 5 weeks. He has 7 weeks to just get one more to get the record. You can't throw on him. You just can't. I mean, his interceptions were not easy. He was on islands, right? One-on-one coverage. One time they threw it deep on a corner route, picked it off one-on-one coverage. They threw it on a go to the end zone, just him and the receiver. That's it. I mean, he's making plays all by himself, and he's learned from the best in Eddie Gage, and it just it's amazing to watch. I mean, Arizona's defense hasn't been incredible this season, but he has. I mean, it's just amazing. And, I mean, the D-line did show up tonight. Mark Mello had a great performance, and that was a big part of this game. But Iverson Gamble, holy crap. I mean, he's been sensational.
Yeah, he definitely has. And I'm on my second game ball, Cam. Since it seems like this wrap up is taking a defensive theme, I'm going to stay on that side of the ball and stay in my locker room in Jacksonville and give my second game ball to J Mart. Huge game. Helped Jacksonville pull out this win, historic win, to get their 100th victory in franchise history with a huge pick six in the fourth quarter, and as a total of 11 tackles in this game. The rookie really came through big tonight for Jacksonville. J Mart gets my second game ball.
You had an honorable mention too, didn't you?
You stole my honorable mention. That was
So I did steal it. We were talking off air that St. Green was worried I was going to steal it.
Yeah, I was close to giving it, to two guys in the same locker room. That's probably the way I was going to go, being that that was such a dominant performance. But hey, you got him in there.
I'm going to give my game ball to Tulsa's offensive coaching staff. What they did to Sioux Falls today was they basically beat Sioux Falls their own game. Sioux Falls wasn't going to have 10 play drive, 15 play drives, whatever. I mean, at one point in that game, Sioux Falls had 14 offensive plays and Tulsa had 42. Wow. It was a clinic, and they threw under crossing routes. They threw little. They did it in a unique way. Is the point? Sanzo was a bell cow in the first half. They really made it a point to get him the football. Gabriel Manning was extremely active, but not in a way that they were forcing the football down the field. They kept JQ out of situations where a rookie might underthrow a pass deep down the middle or might rush to judgment on a throw out to the outside the numbers.
Yeah, that's a great call on that game ball, Cam. I actually, was considering Sanzo for his performance. Like you mentioned, 32 carries. They really fed him the ball. 32 carries, 47 yards, a couple of touchdowns. But yeah, that was a great call, way to look at that and give that to the coaching staff, because they did call a great game today. Like you said, Gabriel Manning wasn't just burning people downfield. It was a lot of crossing routes, keeping the chains moving, keeping Sioux Falls off the field. Excellent performance from Tulsa. Now they find themselves on a 2-game winning streak and getting up off the canvas out of that 0-3 start.
Absolutely. DC next week. That'll be a huge game. DC cannot lose another one to go 0-6. They need it. Tulsa needs it, trying to keep pace with St. Louis in the division. Anybody that's got an unbeaten in their division, they got some work to do. That's the end for Saturday. Sunday's action begins at 4 p.m. Eastern with Denver and Louisiana. You can find that game on FTF Twitch, and then we roll on from there. 6 more games on the Sunday, February 21st slate. For Mike St. Green, I'm Cameron Irvine. Have a good night.